Hey, I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. You want to play some Dragon Quest? I just picked up Dragon Quest III: Seeds of Salvation on the Switch eShop, and I thought it would be fun if we played that game for a bit and took a look at it from an analytical perspective. I grew up playing Final Fantasy, and it was my biggest inspiration, that alongside Breath of Fire. It was Final Fantasy that really inspired me to get into game development. Final Fantasy VII inspired me to get into music and composing. At a young age, I wanted to create art. I wanted to create great experiences for other people, just like the Final Fantasy games had done. And over the past decade or more, oh boy, I'm old, the intention of the people at the top making decisions for Final Fantasy no longer have interest in creating games for people like me. I want an RPG that is ensemble based, that has a compelling, interesting, original story, that I want the game to have artistic intent and artistic vision. And whether or not the battle system is turn-based or menu-driven, I like those. Those are my favorite, but that's not the reason why I'm not enjoying the latest Final Fantasy games. I'm not enjoying them because they're not ensemble-based. They just focus on this one chosen one hero character, and everyone just sort of fawns over them like a groupie, and you don't really get to control the other characters, and the stories are so bland. They're so bland and uninteresting, and there's no artistic vision to the world. There's nothing interesting about it. Sure, they're using the same sound effects and the same leitmotif as old Final Fantasy games, but it's very clear that the new Final Fantasy games are not made for me, and Square has been openly hateful of people like me who like the old games, yet for some reason they keep trying to resell the old Final Fantasy games over and over again because they want easy money with no effort. I've been taking a look at the remasters for Final Fantasy, and I think that's the nail in the coffin for me. It shows that they have put absolutely no care and no effort into the remasters of the older games. The 2D pixel remasters really, they really upset me because they could have done so much better. They could have made the games gorgeous, but what they've done, and I don't believe it's the developer's fault, I believe it's the management up top, they do not care. They do not care about creating a great product. They do not care about creating art. They don't care about inspiring people. They don't care about doing the absolute best that they can do. What Square cares about is doing the bare minimum and making the most amount of money as possible. You see, this is why they are replacing their staff with AI. They're open about that. And they pushed very hard when it came to the NFT, any of the cryptocurrency stuff. Square's been pushed so hard in that direction. And it's clear that the management of Square, they don't care. They don't care about creating art and creating something great for people. They care about extracting money. So I'm breaking up with Final Fantasy. This is it. This is the nail in the coffin. This is where I say our relationship has not been good for many years and it's time to divorce. So I am no longer a Final Fantasy fan. Oh my god, it feels so freeing to say that. I didn't think I would, go back to the kid me and say, look, one day Final Fantasy is going to be the worst and you're going to not like any of them. I break up with you, Final Fantasy. So I'm not like an internet guy. I don't really understand meme culture, but I think I'm supposed to put a clip of 11 from Stranger Things, and I think I put that in here, and she goes, I break up with you, I dump your ass, I think is what 11 said. No, that's a bad example because they get back together again, don't they? So that's not a good example. I don't think I will ever enjoy Final Fantasy, the new ones, ever, because they're hateful of people like me. So I've never been a huge Dragon Quest fan, and part of it has to do with, and I can be open and honest about my past self, my kid self. This is a technical term that it's in the industry. It's like you may not have heard it before. Professionals use this term. The term is complainy little bitch. And when I was a kid, I was a complainy little bitch because I wanted to see my characters in battle. I want to see my characters do this. And the early Dragon Quests didn't have that, so I actually didn't give them much of a chance. I said, well, why? I want to see my cool little characters. I'm not going to play this game because it doesn't have that. I have played a little bit of the Dragon Quests on the 3DS, and I really enjoyed them, but that was a point in my life where I was extremely busy with work, so I didn't get to engage with Dragon Quest games that much. So I'm breaking up with Final Fantasy. I dump your ass, and I'm a Dragon Quest man now. And I'm going to enjoy Dragon Quest. I'm going to explore the whole series, because from what I've seen, Dragon Quest is setting out to create art. They are setting out to create something good for people. I've seen the developers of Dragon Quest talking about it. I respect their approach. They have artistic vision. They are setting out to create good games for people. They care about making good games for their fans. I am on the road to becoming a Dragon Quest fan, but you can't just say that. You have to work your way to that title. You have to earn it. So I'm going to be playing this game. I'm going to check out the other Dragon Quest games. I haven't played the HD 2D games yet, the 3 and 1 and 2. I'm gonna start here, and I'm very much looking forward to the 7 Reimagined. That looks absolutely brilliant. I believe that is the approach that we should be taking when it comes to remastering vintage titles, classic titles, and bringing them to modern platforms with remakes. I think the 7 Reimagined is the absolute best approach to take. It looks so faithful. It makes the absolute best use of modern technology, the latest we have when it comes to hardware and software. So let's go ahead and just chill, let's just hang out, and let's play Dragon Quest. Okay, this is my party here. Oh, that's the world map. I have Hot Dog is the hero, Butts is the martial artist, Crayman is the priest, and Dadfather is the mage. Now, I named him Butts because I really enjoyed playing the fan translation of Final Fantasy V many decades ago, and the name Butts was the funniest thing. You know, as a teenager, you're gonna laugh at a lot of things that probably aren't really that funny, but Butts was funny to me as a teenager, and Butts is funny to me now. Something about it. So this is hilarious to me. There's something about the martial artist. I don't know anything about this game, and the martial artist, if you equip him with weapons, at least in this point in the game, his attack power decreases, and so my priest has a higher damage output than my martial artist right now, because I'm able to equip weapons with good damage output to the priest, and the martial artist really sucks. He's not good. He has no abilities. His damage output is low. There's no armor for him. I haven't found any armor. So I'm sure later in the game, the priest, what is he? I'm sure the martial artist will find a way that his stats will catch up, and then he'll be better. I'm sure I'll get equipment for him. Right now it sucks. I think I made a mistake starting the game with a martial artist, and I don't know if I should run back to town and replace him with someone else, but these are my party members now. So this is so interesting how enemies appear in groups, and it's unlike Final Fantasy. When enemies appear in groups, if you use a multi-target attack, it can only affect enemies in that group, and enemies of the same type are in the same group. If there were multiple enemy types here, Hot Dog wouldn't be able to use his boomerang to hit all of them. He could only hit enemies of the same type. And I think that's interesting. It adds some strategy, and you have to think a bit more. And you kind of remember, you know, like which enemies have more HP, less HP. What's fun about these older games and having menu-driven is that because you have more time to make decisions, you have access to these menus to think about what you're going to do, the game can then place its interesting engagement and its challenge in you making the best decision you possibly can. I don't want to. You know what? My priest actually is really good attack power, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna sizzle. I've just been grinding for levels a little bit here because I walked forward a little bit, as is typical for games of this era, and I got absolutely paved over when I started going toward where the game wants me to progress. So I've just been grinding a little bit, and I would like to purchase more equipment, but good gracious, my martial artist is basically the only character that's getting knocked out, and the priest in the church keeps asking me to pay more and more money every time someone gets knocked out. Now I'm feeling kind of not good about the priest constantly raising his prices every time I need to have someone revived. So now I'm feeling really unpleasant about characters getting knocked out. So I'm trying to not have that, but there's no equipment for the martial artist. There's none. I really like the time of day system. It reminds me of Breath of Fire on the Super Nintendo, and when you enter towns during different times of the day, then you can see that the NPCs respond accordingly. There's shops will close down, characters will have different lines of dialogue. I really, really enjoy that kind of thing. So I'm glad to see that here. I really like the hand-drawn art for the enemies. It's charming. I really like to see that. This little area here, I believe that they're not just palette shifting on these. I believe that they are creating different versions of this. I'll have to double check again, but I think they create daytime, sunset, and nighttime versions of these. Again, I'll have to double check. I didn't really super pay close attention. They could just palette shift it, but if you just palette shift, it doesn't look right. It looks like you've just palette shifted, and it looks sloppy, and it looks really cheap. I think that they've created multiple versions, but again, I'll double check when the time comes. I'm gonna sizz you real good. Now I really enjoy this kind of game, and there's a word that the entire internet has been misusing for years and years and years, and it's not people's faults because we don't have enough vocabulary out in our zeitgeist to help people communicate their thoughts sufficiently. People would say, oh, this gameplay loop. This is not a gameplay loop. When the developers created this game, that word did not exist, and it is not how you think about games. If you think of the term gameplay loop, it traps you into thinking about games a certain way, and it traps you into designing your games a certain way, and this game does not have a gameplay loop. The term gameplay loop describes games that are live service model that explicitly were describing what happens when you play a mobile game. It is a loop. You're trapped into doing the exact same thing over and over again. And those games specifically created a loop to keep you trapped in their monetization loop. This game and games of this era do not typically have loops. They have a gameplay flow. And the gameplay flow offers you more freedom, but also it focuses more on forward progression. Again, gameplay loop describes literally what it is. You're going in a circle. It keeps you trapped in a loop. This is a flow. You have freedom of choice to a certain extent, and you are presented with an experience that focuses on forward progression, and that is gameplay flow. So this game does not have a loop, it has a gameplay flow, and this kind of flow is so pleasant. You get to move at your own pace. You're not forced to do any particular thing, because if you wanted to sit here and level grind, you can. I'm confident. This is not a palette shift. This is manually repainted. So it's not repainted. It's what they do is in their digital canvas software, they create the base version and then they adjust the colors in that accordingly to take into account the lighting and the shadows and what they want to express in terms of the lighting of the environment, as we see here. This is not just palette shifted. If it looked just palette shifted, it would look like a One Punch Man Season 3 episode. What they've done is they've adjusted the colors and the light source accordingly so the tree doesn't look like a Technicolor nightmare. Ooh, who are these baddies? Oh! Different enemies come out for different times of the day. How pleasant. I really like that. Boomerang weapon all the way, baby. I will take the decreased damage output because I can hit multiple enemies. And of course you're going to get enemies where there's, there could be 3 different groups in there, but I like being able to hit multiple enemies like this. I already have other characters. For some reason, my priest's damage output is massive. Now, the trick to making the most of multi-target attack strategy is for you to have multiple members that can do multi-target attacks, and that allows you to really make the most of that lower damage output, because it's cumulative, and if your strategy leans into that, then that's when you really benefit from it. So now I got my Sizz, and that should just take them all out. Man, you know, it was so sick in the first Breath of Fire when you get your first boomerang for the hero character, for Ryu, and that was crazy, because up until that point, you know, the games that I had played, the hero was the hero when he had a sword, and I'm not sure if maybe they were inspired by The Legend of Zelda a little bit, because Link is the swordsman, but see, we don't really regard Link as a swordsman, we regard him as a hero that has a bunch of different tools, and he's got a boomerang, so I'm not sure if they drew inspiration from Link having a boomerang to where Ryu had a boomerang, but no other Ryu in any other Breath of Fire game has a boomerang. And I am obsessed with the idea of the hero having a cool boomerang. This enemy, I feel like this enemy, the original artwork, probably had a pointy hood, and then the localizers probably said something like, "Whoa, dude, you may not know why this is bad, but we cannot have this enemy. We can't have this enemy have a pointy hood." And maybe the original artwork was more white, and I bet the localizer said, "You gotta change the color on that and make that hood not pointy." Now, I'm not saying this that I know this for a fact, I'm just saying I've got that feeling, because that tended to happen in the late 80s, early 90s. If my eyes look like, if it looks like I have circles under my eyes, and if I look tired, it's because I was up late eating chocolate. I've had so much chocolate. I don't know where it all came from. That tends to happen during the holiday season, and I was up late just trying to get rid of all the chocolate in my house. So that's why I look tired, I think, is I'm trying to get rid of all the chocolate the best I can. I'm just level grinding, and I'm enjoying this. See, this is a fun flow. I get to do what I choose to do, and I want to grind out some experience points, get rid of some enemies, buy some equipment, level up the dudes. So I was originally turned off when I first saw this implementation of visuals. It's not just the aesthetic, it's the technical implementation of the visuals. And why I didn't like it is because there was inconsistent pixel density. This is something that Square has been absolutely atrocious with over the past, 15 years or so. I think I'm quite old now at this point. What really upset me were the ports of Final Fantasy 1, 2, 5, and 6 to Android platforms and mobile platforms. The pixel density was so inconsistent between the characters, the heads-up display, and the environments, and it was a nightmare to look at. It was like sticking my hands in a bucket of vomit and diarrhea. And I'm not trying to, do an angry video game nerd, but that's what it felt like to me. This is unplayable. It's so unbelievably incompetent in the way that they implemented their visuals on the Final Fantasy, mobile ports. And at least with the pixel remasters, it's a little more consistent with the heads-up display. I don't know what is up with their font choice. Why did they choose such a thin font? They would have had to take that font and squished it all the way horizontally. It makes me frustrated to see that this is the level of incompetence that goes into Final Fantasy games. And so in my head, I was grouping this together with that. But the closer I looked at this, the more I realized, okay, I was wrong to judge this and group this together with the Final Fantasy mobile Final Fantasies. Give me a second. I'm going to use my eyeballs here. I just want to make sure that I'm getting some decent equipment. I gotta look at the numbers. See, look! My priest can get an iron lance. My priest can have massive damage output compared to the martial artist. What is up, man? What is up? Anyway, get bronze shield to my dude. What was I saying?
Yeah, go ahead and reorganize that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, please. So the pixel density here is actually, there actually is consistency, but you see how there's more detail on the sprites, and then it looks kind of chunky. The rest of the environments look like a Super Nintendo game when it comes to pixel density. And then there's an issue with the filtering and tiling, because if you look at the grass, the filtering causes it to tile in an unnatural way to where you can see where it's tiling, and it's artifacting, and the tiling causes an inconsistency with the pixel density. So that is a flaw. That is something where I can say, okay, I'm not wrong. That actually is a problem. I would have, if I was making this, I would have made sure that the tiling and the filtering did not result in that artifacting. But look, it's what it is. It's an imperfection. It could have been significantly better. At the end of the day, it doesn't really negatively affect the overall experience, and here's why. If we take a look at the character sprites, it actually looks like it may be a 2-to-1 ratio, and it actually could be a 4-to-1 ratio, you know, in some places. And what I mean is that for the environments, 4 pixels in the environment equals 1 pixel on the characters. That's what it feels like. That's what it kind of looks like. And I'm sure if you took a screenshot and broke it down and compared it, then you can see the exact number. But when I take a step back, when I look at it, I realize, okay, there actually is an integer ratio. So there actually is some consistency here. Whereas when you look at the Final Fantasy mobile ports, there is no consideration for like that. There is no ratio that has been considered. And when you look at the sprite work, or the hand-drawn art for the enemies, that is the highest pixel density. And the sprite work, even though it doesn't look like it, the sprites do have the highest density for their pixels. And it is only the environment that has an enforced lower pixel density, but it looks like at least it does have I think it's a 4-to-1 ratio. And that's good, because when we look at the, see, Sizz isn't going to help, right? Sizz is a group of enemies, but as you can see, all of the enemies are in their own groups. They're grouped by type, so that's not going to, I'm just going to crack somebody real good. I'm going to crack this toad, as they say in the business. I'm going to crack this toad. Now, I really like the hand-drawn art for the battles, even though it's such a small, narrow field. I would personally prefer if it filled the whole screen, but I have played the original a little bit, right? For a couple minutes. And of course I was, you know, my expectations were different when I was a kid, and I wanted it to fill the whole screen because that's what Final Fantasy did. I like this. I think they've kept it like this because it's true to the original, it's faithful to the original, in that the battlefield area takes up that smaller portion of the screen. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm not going to complain about that. That doesn't bother me anymore. And I really, really enjoy this hand-drawn art. What they would have done, they would have used a digital tablet. That's hardware that I use for my work, and I could not work without it. I absolutely must use a drawing tablet. I use it for 3D sculpting. I've done live streams where I get to hang out with you guys and I use the drawing tablet. It's absolutely vital. It's such an important piece of hardware for me. That's what they would have used for this. In the past, artists would have drawn this on physical medium, and then they would have scanned that and digitized it into the artwork, into being a game asset. But these days you can use a digital tablet. It streamlines the process. It's just faster. You can make revisions on your work faster, and you don't have to go through the process of digitizing physical medium. And it's faster to make alterations and adjustments. For example, it would take seconds to adjust this to make the sunset and the nighttime version of that environment. So it makes sense to use digital, but there are benefits to using physical medium. The connection that you have to the medium changes the way that you create the artwork. If this was created physically, it would actually look different. And it really just depends on the aesthetic that you want to set. Whoa! brother, your eyeball is hanging out there, man. You gotta see a doctor. I feel bad wailing on this poor, miserable creature with his eyeball hanging out. I don't know why I went to spells. My brain wants butts to have some spells. So this is digitally created, and it doesn't have a restriction on the color palettes. The artists are free to do whatever they want with the color palettes. And it's interesting. To me, it clashes a little bit with the rest of the aesthetic because we have clamped color palettes for all of these. You know, I actually personally would have liked to see this artwork without a clamped color palette, without a restricted color palette, because it would make it more consistent with this artwork here. I really like hand-drawn and pixelated pixel art, and if you are going to have a restricted color palette, which I do still enjoy, make it consistent throughout the entire presentation of the product. So I don't, now that I'm looking, I don't really like that this has a much higher color depth than the rest of the environment, but I think it's okay because they've separated the presentation, the context and the presentation with this little border. This little border makes everything okay. If they didn't have that, if they were sort of suddenly transitioned to it, like say for example, if they transitioned to a Final Fantasy style battle and then suddenly there was a higher color depth and then we had sprites of limited color palettes then fighting this higher color depth, it would really bother me. But this actually makes it 100% okay. This one little border, it separates the context. It's encapsulation for aesthetic, and I can appreciate that. I really like that. What sort of... Oh, you know what I have? Ooh, snooze. I play Smash Bros. I like seeing a snooze come up. I'm gonna use it because I haven't used it yet. I'm gonna sizz him right away now. Okay. A bull mastiff. A bull mastiff is a type of dog. But that kind of dog... Wow, he's got his arm and his ribcage exposed. Not... Oh no! Oh no, 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 no. I was not paying attention. This is not good. This is really bad. I'm gonna flee because I don't want those characters. Oh, now they block the way. Okay, this is really bad for me. This could be really bad. I've got to pop up on my computer and I need to make it go away. Okay, there we go. This is not good. I'm genuinely concerned about what may happen here. What I will do... See, his healing is not great though. It's quite weak. Okay. This is a bad situation for me. I wasn't paying attention to my characters. I am going to pay through the nose for this, aren't I? I'm going to pay through the nose. I'm going to have to revive someone. Okay, he's defeated. Okay, Preyman got the heal on butts. Hot Dog got... That was clutch. Because I'm sure the priest is going to go... It's going to be plus 100 gold the next time I go back. I need to pay attention. This is what I like about this era of gaming, this vintage of gaming, is you need to pay attention. It is your decision making. It's the attention that you pay to the condition of the game. That is where the core appeal of the gameplay comes down to. I really like that. Ooh, I need to be more careful. I need to pay more attention. What's my max SP? What I don't like, and I think they did this on purpose just to match the older game, I want to see the max HP there when I'm choosing the healing skill, because I want to know what is the disparity between my current HP and my max HP. And you have to go to... I keep pushing the map button. I wonder if I can remap that. You have to go to the status menu to see the max HP, so you're hunting, you know, you're visually hunting and looking for information, and you go back and you have to go back and forth. So that's a negative, but I think they've done it this way to be consistent with the original. And that's fine. You know what? I can live with that. It's not a big deal. I like very much that there is a separation in design philosophy. This does not feel like a modern game because of that, and I like it more for that reason. And I'm gonna, what does the buff do? Okay, raises the defense, that's quite good. I'm gonna crack this to repair right now. This has been fun, this has been enjoyable. Yeah, I just wanted to hang out and talk about Dragon Quest. I will check out the Dragon Quest games. I don't have a ton of leisure time as I spend my time with my own game development. I have a number of games that will be launching very soon. I don't have a lot of time for games, unfortunately. But what I do have time for, I want to be able to just share that with you guys and spend some time. I just, you know, I enjoy hanging out and hearing from you guys. Okay, we're going to put a pin in it here for today. And if you would like me to cover any other Dragon Quest games, or if you want to talk about this one a little bit more, just let me know in the comments which Dragon Quest games you would like me to look at. Take care of yourselves. Be well. I'll see you around, and I wish you all the best for 2026. I hope it's a great year for you. I'll see you around.